Hi there, I'm Pete Griffin. For the past 5 years or so, I've been playing with Dweezil Zappa, plays Zappa, where Dweezil Zappa is playing his dad, Frank Zappa's music. Before that, I played with Hanson and some other bands. I played with Edgar Winter, and I play with my own band called Gryphon Labs, which features some of the guys from the Zappa band. And yeah, here's some of the hard stuff I get to play with that band. So that's part of a song called Echidna's Arf of You, written by Frank Zappa, and it's probably one of the main reasons I play bass today. The story behind the Zappa band is I've been an enormous Zappa fan since I was about 14 or 15 and was learning to play bass, and was lucky enough to have some older musicians around who were hip to the music of Frank Zappa. And they introduced me to it and kind of guided me along his 60 albums along the way. And I completely fell in love, and especially as a young musician, it really kind of blew my mind and opened my mind to see what kind of other stuff was out there, other than, rock radio. So that was, even before I got this gig, it was an enormous influence on me. And then I got this gig, and it was sort of a dream come true. I never figured that since Frank had died before I was ever even into his music, that I would ever be able to play this music in a professional setting, let alone get paid for it. And yet here I am, and we've been doing this band since 2006, and we're doing it next year as well. So I guess it's been fairly successful. So that's the story of the Zappa band, pretty much. I was lucky enough to know Joe Travers, the drummer, from other gigs around town and everything. And he knew I was a huge fan and had me come and audition, and somehow I got the gig. I originally started playing bass. I grew up in the suburbs of New York City, called Westchester County. Pretty boring suburbs, but safe and everything. Nice place to grow up. My parents bought me my first bass for Christmas. I'd been playing trumpet for a little while and wanted a new instrument. And instead of getting a guitar or a keyboard, they decided to get me a bass. And that was pretty much the decision. But I remember that Christmas morning opening up the box, and it was like throngs of angels singing and shafts of light coming down from the heavens. And pretty much immediately I took to it, and to the point where when practicing trumpet was homework, playing bass was pretty much what I did instead of homework. I couldn't take my hands off of it. And then, like I said, I quickly learned about lots of interesting types of music, including Frank Zappa and amazing bass players like Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey and Michael Manring and Jocko, of course, and worshipped all those guys for a long time. I always thought I was a little rare because most bass players start on guitar and are the worst guitar player in their middle school band and are forced to switch to bass at some point. I can't play guitar at all, which surprises some people, but it's just too many strings for me. After high school and during high school, what really made me fall in love with bass was when I was a freshman, there was a senior named Dan who was this amazing bass player, and he was the first guy I ever saw do the slap stuff. And I started taking some lessons with him, and he tried to teach me some theory and all that, and I was basically, could you just show me how to do the slap stuff? And then when I was, after he graduated from college, he actually passed away at a very early age, and it kind of gave me a shock that this guy who was so talented and such a nice guy wasn't given his opportunity to pursue his career in music. And I figured that was a sign that I had to, that I really had no choice. If it was taken away from him, then I had to take the chance that he wasn't allowed. And that sort of made all the difference. From that point on, I didn't want to do anything else besides play music, which certainly pissed off my parents a little bit, but they've come around now. I went to college at Northwestern University, got a BA in music from there while taking a bunch of other classes and gigging around Chicago and all that. And then immediately upon graduation, moved here to Los Angeles and started trying to get into the scene with no success at first. But after about 2 years, I started doing the audition thing and all that, and got the gig playing with Hanson, which was a lot of fun, actually. People make fun of me for having played with them. But it turns out it was a great first tour, took me all over the world, taught me how to be a touring musician, which is not, it has nothing to do with playing your instrument. It has to do with keeping your sanity when you're living on a bus. And so that really prepped me for further gigs.